Well, ow. It's a Sunday morning and my glasses are foggy. What's up, people? I'm gonna get the old YouTube channel going because I've been kicked off of TikTok. That's right. Yes, I say things that people don't like and I get whacked. So we're gonna take the show to YouTube where we start making fun of things and hopefully don't get kicked off by trolls every other fucking second. Um, I don't expect a lot of people to come on right now because I'm still kicked off of the TikTok, and my plan is to go live on the TikToks and then transition right straight to the YouTube so that perhaps some people can follow when we do that. But I won't be able to go back on TikTok for another fucking hour because of the ridiculous rules or whatever the fuck that they have, the double standards, the community double standards that they have. So I'm just going to start practicing, right? If anybody comes along, it can come along. I read it. I read it on Reddit. Tennessee currently requiring that all vehicles register with new plates where they have to choose a highly visible difference in God we trust or not. Yeah, and this is another way that that the establishment can identify who's an atheist and who's not, who's part of the us and who's part of the them, right? And you can just pick it out a car and now profile people on their lack of a relationship with your invisible God, right? And people get pulled over. And harassed, because they're atheists and they've caught the attentions of police, the attention of the police. And this is, of course, Tennessee, where if you drive through Tennessee, it's there's just a Jesus sign on every phone or telephone pole all around. The crew was primary. A few days ago, I worked with a crew that's primary for Tennessee who told me about the issue. Choosing to not have "In God We Trust" on your plate means that the numbers and letters are in a different order. That makes your religious affiliation or lack thereof, really anything other than Christian or possibly Judaism, visually evident to police and the general public in a blatant move towards segregation and persecution. It's true. And I guess the Satanists are behind pointing this out to people. I don't know. There's a link to the Satanic Temple somehow, and I don't really get. I wrote to TSM. I was referred to the representation campaign. Yeah, I don't know what that means necessarily. But yeah, that's what's going on in Tennessee today as we continue to see the religious right really, really rail against the death of their influence in society. This is why it's not okay to tell queer people hate the sin, love the sinner. 5 people were killed and 18 wounded in a shooting in an LGBT club in Colorado Springs. When the fuck did that happen? Just last night? Jesus, when is that kind of bullshit going to stop? Club Q. Yeah, gay club gets shot up. Anderson Lee Aldrich. There's a fucking redneck name, isn't it, if you ever heard one? The suspect is believed to have immediately begun shooting people on entering the nightclub. At least 2 heroic patrons confronted and fought the gunman, according to Colorado Springs Police Chief Adrian Vasquez. We owe them a debt of great thanks. If somebody jumped up, I mean, it brings to mind the old Eddie Murphy bit, right? That you couldn't even probably write today as a comedy bit because it would be too non-politically correct, too offensive to the LGBT community. But if you're going in and like you're gonna beat people up, you might end up just getting your ass kicked, man. The idea that anybody can beat up a gay guy, some of those dudes are tough, man. Believe it. But yeah, here we are, Colorado. Yes, that bastion of progressiveness. You're going to be able to eat mushrooms in Colorado pretty soon. You're going to be able to. They were the first with marijuana reform laws, right? But you still get shot up if you're a member of the LGBTQ community. You can't have your club in peace without it being shot up and attacked by fucking rednecks from across the country. Honest to God, what the fuck is going on? Thanks for joining. If you're popping around, we're trying to get the YouTube rants going because the TikTok is getting me kicked off. All humans are born as atheists, of course. If God, I've gotten into this with people before. People try to say that, indoctrinating people to atheism is just as bad, but there's no indoctrination to atheism. We're already atheists, and the only reason you would have to tell somebody that there wasn't a God is because somebody had told them that there was. If they have no concept of there being a God, and somebody comes out of the blue and says, "Hey, by the way, did you know that there's no God?" They're going to be like, "What? What's a God? What are you talking about?" But obviously, we're all born atheists, and that's not to say that sooner or later, as we grow, our human minds aren't going to question and seek and wonder. But we're born without a concept of a God, and that has to be taught to us, or it has to, come to you organically later in life as your brain begins to explore the possibilities of its own existence. Every human has been born an atheist because we have all been lacking belief in a God. No baby or toddler can understand the concept of God, let alone believe in it. It isn't something we know or understand instinctually. We must be indoctrinated to believe, and even then, many of us still don't believe. Atheism exists in a time of innocence. The innocence and purity that adults so often admire in toddlers and infants coexist with their atheism. That's a great fucking point. I'd never thought about that. And Christians and religious people are all about that. That a childlike state is what you strive to attain. And a lot of people see the Garden of Eden metaphor as that, as the fall from childlike innocence. I see it as the sentience, the gaining of sentience of the human species. I think they people had an innate understanding of evolution as early as they could think. And to me, at some point, this is an exaggeration, of course, but you could see a caveman sitting around going, "Remember Uncle Neanderthal, who just couldn't think on the level that I think humans have always understood that we come from a time when we didn't get the we didn't have a real self-awareness like we do um, now, when they started creating these stories to explain their existence and to explain their creation. So yeah, that's cool. I'm glad I read this because it's an old thought. Humans are all born atheists. There's really no argument. To argue with that is to be petty, because you could argue that every human will sooner or later come up with their own idea of a God. There's probably no real way to disprove that, because I think we're hardwired to seek answers, to look for patterns. We know that. And so maybe, but my assertion has always been that if you took an innocent people that were just created, plopped here, whatever, and just gave them all the scientific knowledge of today, instead of letting them evolve through that time of no scientific knowledge whatsoever that led to the creation of first, I suppose, sun worship, and then more complex deity manifestations, or imaginative manifestations of a god, of a creator god idea that over time gained the kind of backstory and details that we see in modern religion. But this guy points out that that innocence and purity of childhood includes atheism. So if we really strive to get back to that, well, then we should be striving to get back to the point where there was no God concept. Atheism has a simplicity with which religions can't compete. I don't know, religions, depends on what you mean by simplicity. Uh, but yes, indeed. Atheists require no study, no rituals, no belief in the supernatural. We have only one condition for membership: a lack of belief in a God. It's so simple and natural that all children are born atheists. All right, these little blog posts. Is it me, or did Reddit used to tear the shit out of people in a way that I don't see anymore? The first couple of posts I ever did on Reddit, I was like, people like tore me a new asshole, and it seems to have mellowed out about that. So that people who just have blog posts, don't necessarily get dragged across the coals like I sort of had thought. Reddit was. I don't interact a lot on Reddit, maybe because of that. Experience that hurt me so bad when I got on Reddit first. They tore me a new asshole, which what I thought was a pretty good blog post about the general ignorance of the definition of atheism, or the existence of atheists in society, and people confusing us with Satanists, people just not knowing what that means. Steve Harvey, the boob, the idiot, the the game show host, the clown with the mustache, with the painted mustache. Um, Classic example. I don't what's an atheist? I don't really know what that is. Joy Behar had to tell him. And then he's like, "Well, I just think that's stupid." Yeah, you didn't know what the word meant, but atheists are stupid for not believing in your God. And then he went on to embarrass himself with a bunch of malaprops and made up words. We don't come from no gastrous ball. Gastrous. It's classic. Google it, Joy Behar. and Steve Harvey making a boob out of himself. The Orthodox Church is rich and wants you to stay poor. How we don't see a lot of indictment of the Orthodox Church, do we? And feel free to chime in if you guys are watching. I appreciate it. Like I said, this is the Atheist Underground Psychological Emancipation Railway, a virtual train system dragging people out of emotional slavery, psychological slavery, in effect, into the light of the acceptance of the one life that we know we have on this planet and in the universe, and to try to get people to pay attention to that a little bit more instead of ignoring the planet, overpopulating it in a rush to get to an afterlife that you don't even know exists. My local priests all preach that it is okay to be financially weak. You don't need things. You should remain average for the rest of your life. Don't be prepared for financial misfortune. Eat the rich. Unacceptable. Yeah, well, I guess I'm not sure. I'm trying to understand the sentence there. Yeah, it's that local priest, but yeah, the Orthodox Church, man, um, reminds us of Mark Twain. Religion was invented when the first con man met the first idiot. That is when religion was invented. Mark Twain got a lot of thoughts on religion, right? Faith is believing what you know ain't so. But yeah, again, who do we hear really disparaging the Orthodox Church? You know, unless you're Greek or you know somebody from an ethnic group that actually attends an Eastern Orthodoxy, none of us in America really know a lot about that. That's when we got Catholics, we got evangelicals, we got old school mainline Protestants, but we forget about the old Orthodoxies, right? You know, and each one of them has their own distinct ritual. I think a little bit different from each other, right? They don't have that same um, consistency or homogeneity as the Catholic Church. So you have the Russian Orthodox, Armenian, Greek, Serbian. Every damn Eastern European country has its own orthodoxy, and I think they all have one. What do they call him? The patriarch. It's not really a pope, but there is the head of all the orthodoxies. But each one can run it their own way, and each one has their own funny hat. Right? Take that to the bank. Every orthodoxy comes with its own really silly hat. In fact, I think they probably take the cake when it comes down to silly hats. The Orthodox churches across Eastern Europe really do it better than anybody else. The Ministry of Silly Hats. Yes, that's what it is. So yeah, if you got something to say about the Orthodox Church, and we're waiting for the pedophilia scandal to come to that fine organization, right? When they seem to be, I don't know, maybe it's just because, like I said, they're out of sight in America. We don't really think about them a lot until you run into them. We see there's basilicas, there's churches everywhere, but they're by comparison, they're really tiny populations in fairly urban areas where you might have a Bosnian, population or the Saint Basil of Osrog. These churches that you see, cool architecture, a lot of weird domes, and, a lot of phallic structures to go with the Orthodox Church, right? Who has more phallic structures than the Orthodox Church? There's something I can rag on the Orthodoxies for. They all have giant towers shaped like penises, man, way more than the Catholics. Um, what's that about, But yeah, all right. Orthodox Church, homophobic atheists. Well, that atheists who are homophobes. I got this comment on a subreddit calling me an abomination for being bisexual, along with harassing some. That's a Bible thing. Calling it an abomination, along with harassing some other people commenting on the post. Granted, there's a chance the person that said that to me might be a religious person or something. I don't know for sure. And and don't worry, the person who said that to me got their account suspended and their comments on the post removed. So that's a win. Yeah, I don't know if I'd worry a lot about homophobic atheists. I'm sure they're out there, but honestly, the atheist movement has become so completely tied to the progressive left that I worry that we're closing the door on independent voters who aren't necessarily um, in line with every leftist idea that the progressives are, but we need them to vote with us against theocracy, against um, the undue influence of fundamental religion on our legislature. I don't care if a guy, as long as he's not a homophobe or a bigot, or I don't care if you're right leaning financially. There's a lot to be said for less government and a little bit of the exercise of judicious control over government spending. When it comes to the Democrats are just a joke too, man. I wasn't raised that way. I've never been a guy who's really in favor of more government to throw a committee at a problem to study it and then decide that problem is affecting everybody to the point where come on, man. It just, when are we going to have a third party? When are we going to have a purple party? It makes me wonder why an atheist would be homophobic. Like homophobic religious people use their religion as a reason to be homophobic. Yeah, I don't know, but why would an atheist be homophobic? Like, do they think it's against nature? And I don't think you're going to run into that. I think people are homophobic in the way that, they still won't admit any part of themselves might be on that spectrum. You know what I mean? Like, they're still grossed out by it. And that's like a societal, even though they're not really, they don't care if you do what you do. They can't help but being, it's like that, sort of like that, passive racism where, it's like, rap music sucks, but you're not out there promoting hate against black people, but really the roots of your prejudices when it comes to your taste and stuff are kind of rooted in like, that's the other and that music, I'm not even gonna give it a chance, and that's racist just in the way that I think a lot of people are like, really open-minded when it comes to allowing people to be who they are, marry who they are, love who they are, sleep with who they are, but they're still like unwilling to go there in their own minds a little bit as far as, I don't the tastefulness of it or whatever. And I think that can be spun as homophobia, but I don't know if you're going to find a lot of actual homophobia among atheists. So sorry to see that. Yeah, I read it on Reddit. That's right. My mother just lost her shit at me for referring to Christianity as fictional nonsense. We should all refer to all religions as fictional nonsense as much as we can. If you think it's fiction and you think it's nonsense, then don't be afraid to say it. Why are we worried about what the fuck people think of that we think of their religion? Why? Who cares? Who cares? It is not religion's exclusive right to not be made fun of. That's just dumb. If something is patently funny, I'm going to make fun of it. And part of the reason that religion gets away with whatever it gets away with is because of this stupid idea that nobody can assail it for being harmful when it's been shown to be completely harmful in many ways and a net negative on society and really an anchor chain, a drag on the whole fucking system. So yeah, I don't know who the fuck is worried about that, but it always kills me that they feel so threatened by that. Well, if God is all powerful and your religion is so great, and your faith is so strong, why do you give a fuck if I make fun of it? I beg all atheists, anybody who thinks that religion is stupid, to make fun of it and say it's stupid all the time. That's what society needs. Society needs to take the magic away. Yes, it's your right to have your religion, and it's my right to make fun of it. Don't try to tell me that I need to respect religion. All I need to respect is your right to have it. I don't need to respect your brain. I don't need to respect the tenets of your stupid religion. I don't need to respect anything that comes of the religion that I don't think is worthy. I don't need to respect any of that. The only thing that needs to be respected is your right to have your beliefs. That's it. Religion has to earn respect if it's going to get it, especially from me. I don't know what the fuck. Holy shit. There's where is my I didn't see one comment until now. Thank you guys for being here. Let me read through these, man. Thanks, Matt. What's up, dude? The Hatter is here. I literally didn't see any of these comments, so thank you guys for jumping on with me. Lovecraft said it's a mercy that humans don't understand everything. Huge paraphrase, but yeah, it's really true. That is ignorance is bliss, right? Fixing to watch Atheist Tent Revival. All right, I had to come up with a name. I'm trying to figure out how to post a short, and it turns out I don't think you can't post a short on YouTube except from your phone, maybe. Who the fuck knew, man? I'm like on here, I'm like trying, because I posted it straight from InShot. I posted that Atheist Tent Revival thing, and it like came out really bad. The quality was like crap because it shared from and I'm like, how can it's like basically an HD video on my iPhone. How did it come out so shitty? So then I like tried to re-up it as a different and tried to put it in the short section of YouTube, and I didn't know how to do that. And it turns out I think it's because you can't do it from your PC. You got to do the shorts from your phone. MySpace. I did not get on MySpace, dude. Show me fake. Mark Twain had a son. They called him Choo Choo Twain. My guy, one for you there. All right. Well, I can see your comments now, so keep them coming if you guys are here. The internet's been shitty last couple of days here. I don't know if it's the weather. It got really cold fast here. I don't know if we had an issue. That's what I'm getting at. Native atheist, you're right, man. And one for you, buddy. Atheists who were Christian have that. Yeah, I was going to ask you, dude. Did you get some snow, man? I got my uncle moved out to even worse than you. We moved to literally on the other side of like Watertown, on the other side of the lake completely, and that's where the real lake effect comes. That's the Barnes Corners up there, the snow capital of the country. But yeah, that's fucked up, man. We just have like these constant flurries. The lake effect on here we are on the lee side, the lake, and we can't we can't get the kind of lake effect that you get here. We just get it a couple of miles inland, whereas like those winds blowing across to the east will create lake effect snow on the east side of all the lakes, much deeper, much longer, much further inland. Yeah, that's crazy though. 5 feet of snow in fucking November, man. Even for up there, that's nuts. But that's what we get. So yeah, this guy's mother lost her shit at him. Good. Do something else, and let her lose her shit over something different next time, buddy. That's my advice to you, my friend. It shouldn't be considered Islamophobic to point out the obvious homophobia in Islam. Yeah, Islam again. Reading the Quran really made me understand that Islam is just a shitty ripoff. It's just a crappy ripoff of Judaism and Christianity. Old boy saw what was going on. He's like, well, you guys aren't doing it right. This is what I want out of the whole thing. So let me recast it my way. But and that in relation to that last video I posted, which I'm not getting any views. I'm still freaking shadow banned on TikTok. It sucks. But yes, and this one idiot talking about Christian universalism, and it occurred to me again that Christianity is one of the first religions to change the way that other religions viewed other religions. In the past, religions considered each other valid for the believer, right? If you believed in that God, you were going to that God's heaven. I believe in this one, I'm going to this God's heaven, and those were all valid, and nobody, acted like they had the one that was only the right one for everybody. Everybody had their own gods, and that was cool. But when Christianity came along, and it was no. You all had the wrong one, we had the right one. And Jesus is for everybody. And this is what really happened. And you need to get on this boat. And it spins as a fucking altruistic effort. And it's really just fucking an embarrassment of colonialism and mind control and, an egocentric take on what should be a personal philosophy for everybody. It's like, but how can you say that you're right? Jesus is patently not for everybody. He's not for me. So Christian universalism is a hideous fucking advancement, if you want to say, a progression of religion that didn't used to be. And Momo just took that up in spades, right? He's like, this is the only way. So Islam, again, the only other major, my way or the highway kind of religion. Hinduism and Buddhism aren't really like that, are they? They just kind of all accept. Yeah, okay, right. But Christianity and Islam, no. If you don't, if you don't do it this way, you're going to hell, and that's really different than it used to be in the past. So, here we have, back to the original post. Here we have, Islam and obviously homophobic, just like the Bible was. But yet, if you bring that up, you're Islamophobic, right? Yeah, it's not Islamophobic to call out a shitty religion for being shitty, as I said in one of my posts on the talk, where I have been um, dismissed from for another 25 minutes. They get like about 11:30. I'll be able to go back on, which is why I'm not on the talk right now. This is normally my atheist brunch hour on the talk from 10:30 to 11:30 or so, or 12 sometimes if it's hopping. But yeah, I couldn't do that today until 11:30, so I figured I was here in front of the thing. I might as well fire up the old YouTube and try to figure it out and try to figure out how to use it more effectively. Because I'm tired of trying to get to 100,000 fucking followers on the talk. So I learned that you can't put up if you say that 11 views, dude, try to come up with a better video, dude. Yeah, no, I feel you. I like, come on. I was at a point where like all my videos were getting 4 or 5 thousand, even the shitty ones, and then all of a sudden I get kicked off my live 2 weeks in a row, and I post a vid and it gets like struggles to get to 1,000, 1,700. So I feel your pain, dude. I'm really trying to avail myself of these other platforms too, and so this is me starting. I figured out the shorts thing. I'm gonna figure out how to use the studio a little better, and start doing much more stuff on YouTube. Oklahoma, you got a blizzard a couple years ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks, man. We'll send more your way, man. You guys just keep on digging oil out of the earth in Oklahoma, and you're going to keep getting more weird snow, right? That's I do not understand. I mean, I do understand it, but it's like why all these people? I met these Okies who are just all about what are they going to do? What's the space? They're out of work now. We need Trump back in for the oil industry. We just need it back. We need Trump if the oil industry going to survive. Fuck the oil industry. Fuck them. Find something else to do. You did. None of those ladies worked in oil. Give a break, man. But they all have an oil well in their yard. That's the thing you can do. You live in Oklahoma or Texas, you can get an oil well in your yard, just stick it in, start a pumping. And then the big companies come around and they buy it from you. It's a neat thing that you don't. I'm neat. It's gross, but it's cool for them. And it's like slush money. It's just once you got that rig paid for, it just sits there and pumps. Somebody comes along and pulls that poison out of your yard for you. Yeah, it is a catch-22, Matt. I feel that completely. And like it's so obvious. It's so obvious. They're just about they want more videos, right? My great friends Eve and Ryan both, like flew past my count as far as piling on followers. A, they're hot chicks, and B, they really post a lot of stuff all the time. It's like you can see there's certain things that they want you to follow. And I'm not necessarily convinced it's all like anti-atheist, but it's so hard to figure out what they fucking really want from you. Megachurch begs congregants to forgive pastor for soliciting sex from a minor. We're all sinners. Woo! When did this happen? The leadership team of Rock Church International cited Romans 3:23 Wednesday as they urged congregants to extend forgiveness to the Reverend John Blanchard in an announcement that he has voluntarily stepped back as lead pastor from all his ministerial duties for the second time in just over a year following his arrest for the solicitation of a prostitute. Under the guidance of the legal counsel, we cannot make a statement of or comment concerning the accusations against Reverend John Blanchard. At the time, we are committed to working with Rock Church International, and hey, Jesus hung out with prostitutes. Why we getting down on this guy? He's actually just doing what Jesus would do. He's actually probably there ministering to the pros, and if that includes some physical comfort that you can bring to the pros, and the pros can bring to you, then who's really, what are we really talking about here? The demonization of sex continues to baffle me when it comes to religion. Why can't we have a nice religion like the Polynesian religions, where like fucking was just like a really like a sacrament? All right, boning on the side of a volcano, sacrament. Christianity, unchained violence is a sacrament. Sex, ooh, no, 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 don't do no sex. You have the Rock Church. You wish it was a Rock Church. The RCI, the Rock Church International. Control people's emotion and you control them. What's more emotional than sex? Is sex emotional? I think it passed that point like 40 years ago for me. Sex, yeah. No, I feel you, man. But I only get emotional if I haven't had enough sex. And I'm like, why? Got to get back on it, man. My hernia is healing up here. We got to get back in the old saddle, as it were. But yeah, the Rock Church people are like, again, we're just, forgive. They use this over and over. If you listen to the last podcast, they use this over and over. They guilt everybody, not just the victims. They guilt everybody else. If you're not being a good Christian, if you don't forgive this dude for pulling his cock out in public and waving it at a teenage girl, you don't, you're bad. So what the fuck, man? How about indicting the dude who did the deed, man? He stepped back as pastor, so now he can continue with his dirty deeds and not be afraid of losing his job because he already quit. He can't quit the prostitute and keep his job because that's not going to work for him. So he has to quit the job so he can keep going and seeing the pros. Right, wasn't the right thing to be to get therapy for your sex addiction, come out, confess, stay in leadership, and then guide by example. But they're like, yeah. Detective posing as a 17-year-old girl. So here's the bit. It was a sting. How many of these idiots get caught up in a sting, man? Again, if you're a religion, you're not a bright bulb to begin with. Even if that was your bit, how stupid would you have to be to set something up like that, and assuming it could possibly be a sting? You're dirty, man. If you need it that bad from someone who's not of age, this is it's. But what's going to happen to the guy? He's continually professed his innocence. There's a long story here, but apparently they were able to get him out of charges being dropped, which could be brought up in the future. Yikes! What a fuckstick. I watched videos where these churches handled snakes. The music was actually pretty good. You can always count on them hillbillies for some fine country music, some bluegrass, some good banjo picking. I love that music, man. These fucking snake handlers, though, they should be right there at the forefront of leading the way against the what's going on with Christianity being imposed upon the government, because those are one of those churches that are going to be like, sooner or later they're going to be like, what, this is not, where's the snake handling thing in the Bible? This is not Christianity as we see it, and we don't sanction it anymore, and it's a danger to the public. You can't do it anymore. And then they outlaw the snake handling church. Did you see the documentary? Maybe. What are you doing, Ginger? The faithless healer. What's up? Man, you're just too short. There she is. What? No, we're not going out right now. We're not going out right now. We're not going out right now. Pretty soon we'll switch over to. I think a few preachers have died. I watched the video. It was I think it was a Netflix special or something. Fat guy with a fucking pink suit on or something, and his wife's like, "Yeah, his daddy did it, and every time he goes out there, I just worry it's going to be the last time I see him and stuff." And he's just like out there, yeah. And if he gets bit by the snake, he goes and gets help. He doesn't trust God to save him. He goes and gets help, but he just figures that he did something wrong that week and he displeased God, and he prays on how to fix it. It's fucked up. It's fucked up, man. Trump's spiritual advisor now says he acts like a little elementary school child. Who's that? That Paula thing? Oh, is it really? Let me see here. A televangelist who served as a spiritual advisor to Donald Trump says the former president has the tendency to act like a little elementary school child, and suggests that Trump's focus on minor spats was preventing progress on larger goals. Oh, it's James Robinson. I thought it was that crazy Paula person. You guys remember her? We all know God can't control snakes. Not this guy. He thinks that the snake is God's using the snake. If he did a good job this week, everything goes right. If something, then he's imagine what it is. Imagine what if he lived a perfect week, man. He's got one of those, like a perfect score, no losses for the week. Didn't even sin in his mind that week. But he's got to figure out why the snake bit him. If Mr. Trump can't stop his petty little issues, how does he expect people to stop major issues? James Robinson, the president of the Christian group Life Outreach International. Oh, Life Outreach International. Lloyd. Christian's kind of weak on the anagrams, aren't they? I noticed that. A lot of these friggin' organizations just, and they leave a little to be desired in terms of marketing cleverness. How about Jesus Gets Us? You guys seen the Gets Us thing? You see the Gets Us? Jesus, he gets us. He gets us.org. Go look for it now. They're trying to advertise. They're so desperate for fucking converts now to their idiocy that they're trying to advertise on TV, just in general. Not just a church, not like a Catholic church. We've seen that for a while. Don't you miss the Eucharist? Yeah, whatever the fuck that is. Miss it so bad. Come back to church this week. That's what I really miss. Trying to get those dorky people to come back to church, but Occam's razor, use Occam's fangs for sure, man. Members of the NACL pledged to the National Association of Christian Lawmakers. Again, knackle. Oh fuck, come up with an anagram, man. Pledged to advocate for anti-abortion policies and to uphold the sanctity of marriage as a sacred union exclusively between one man and a one woman, among other commitments. Robeson was receiving an award from the group Wednesday night when he made his remarks. His audience included dozens of Republican legislators from across the country gathered in a hotel room. At first, they listened attentively as Robeson began his address, nodding and showing support with a figure yes and amen. Oh, yeah. Yeah, all right. Who cares? What? I thought that was going to be Paula White. Was that her name? The crazy Paula bitch? Did you see her? The Eucharist is styrofoam. I was a devout Catholic once and I couldn't even handle it then. Why not just use Ritz crackers? I mean, come on. Styrofoam, I think, is actually better than that shit. You can also buy Cheez-Its in bulk, and I'm trying to figure out something funny. What do you mean Cheez-Its? Cheez-Its? Cheez-Its. That would be great. Is that a thing? I haven't seen Cheez-Its. Is that what you mean? Cheez-Its? Yeah, you think Jesus's body would taste more like jerky than styrofoam or cardboard or the chemical that those stale ass wafers taste like. And why does the Catholic Church support alcoholism like that? They just literally don't care that communion may trigger an alcoholic. I guess because it's Jesus' blood, it's not really wine. By the time old boy gets a hit of it, I wonder how many people have been fucked up like that throughout history. Right? Jesus jerky. How else is he going to keep all that meat alive for fucking 2,000 years, right? You got to dry it, beat it up good, and then hope it just lasts, you got to stretch it out. Stretch that jerky. Every time anybody has a fucking, imagine Jesus is just up in heaven with a fucking IV in his arm. He's like, how about some more you bastards need? But it's still wine though. And you go to Protestant church, it was grape juice. Yeah. Catholics are like, what? Yeah. If you go to, they do communion once a month in most mainline Protestant churches. It's like a once a month thing. It's not every fucking week. Like there's communion Sunday, and it was a big deal because somebody had to bring out the shit. Somebody had to buy the grape juice and fill up all the little fucking shot glasses that fit into the nice wooden thing. Yeah. So communion was like, and we loved it. It's like, oh, a shot of grape juice. Mom never bought us grape juice. That shit's expensive. But grape juice is good, right? And then all the kids could take communion. And, I guess, the kind of Catholics don't care, I guess, if they're 8, 9, 10. When do you have your first communion? Whenever you're old enough to 13, maybe, right? Or after you're confirmed and shit. Yeah. I wonder how many alcoholics they've just flat on started off. How common is the Catholic clergy's sexual abuse of children? This is fucking awesome. This is just somebody getting on Reddit. Hey, how common is the Catholic Church? What have you been living under a rock? It's literally in every fucking church. Somebody wrote a whole fucking myth fact thing. Wow, myth. The rate of sexual abuse committed by priests is not significantly higher than that committed by other professions. This is one of the big lies that apologists keep repeating in the hopes that people will accept it. If they hear in Australia, for instance, they estimated that between 50 and 2010, 7% of Catholic priests were involved in sexual abuse in some capacity. In some specific orders, the rate is higher than 40%. That's more than 2 out of every 5. For comparison, the second highest rate of child abuse, teacher, imagine that, fucking teachers, was less than 1%. Yeah, it's not brain surgery to know that organizations like that breed it because of the lack of the celibacy, the celibacy thing. They breed that shit. What are you barking at? Stealing my shit? Nothing. Not barking at anything. Listen. But yeah, it's like Matt's like, it shouldn't happen at all. Yeah, man. Well, what the fuck? How do they compare to Jehovah's Witnesses? They hide pedophiles actively. The Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah. Don't you feel like it's just in a place like that, churches, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, sports, any place that, and teachers, is that in Australia, second most common. We all had a story growing up about and it was usually like a like a part-time teacher, like a music teacher, or like somebody somebody who didn't see every day necessarily. It wasn't your sixth grade homeroom teacher, but there was the guy who came in to do special ed, and then when the girl went down to get her special ed, or her a little bit of speech therapy or something, got her bibbits touched. Yeah, bibbits. I remember that when I was in seventh grade. Yeah, Stephanie White got her bibbits touched, and that was how it was put to me by another young girl in the class. And I guess a good way to describe underdeveloped breasts, or nascent mammary glands, bibbits. There's one for you. But yeah, doesn't that go on everywhere like that? I don't usually comment here, but I needed to say this. There's almost nothing that hurts me more than seeing people defend the concept of hell and the idea of an omnipotent being creating it. So it's obviously disgusting and inhumane and completely needless. Well, and a little bit overkill, isn't it? I mean, shouldn't any of us be punished for eternity outside of pedophile priests by burning for eternity? For what? For not believing? For using the brain that God gave us? That's what I left the biddies in San Antonio with when I got into my discussion about why I was in San Antonio, and they were there as a church group. Yeah, they sure hated me once I came out as an atheist. That just ended the night. They all got up one by one and left. Ooh, there's a church that wants to build on an endangered cockatoo grounds in Australia. Yeah, those cockatoos in Austria. You took an extra cookie at communion? Who would do that? No, just a cookie. Yeah, no, don't steal cookies. Don't steal cookies. I mean, you will burn forever for that. A Christian group is suing to overturn FDA approval of an abortion pill. Yeah, that's a good idea. What's the FDA got to do with legislation of abortion rights? It seems like you're griping at the wrong people. You shouldn't have approved this because it's against God's law. Yeah, they're not interested in that. But yeah, back to the church. This fucking. I was looking at cute burbs in the cockatoo subreddit, but this really pissed me off. The United Church in Australia wants to build on the territory of an endangered species of cockatoo. The petition has a lot of signatures already, but I figured you guys wouldn't stand for this. Every signature counts. Tell these assholes to shove their crosses where the sun don't shine and save these cockatoos. That's typical, isn't it? I mean, the church doesn't care. They don't care about nature. They don't care about the environment. They don't care about the world. None of it. I appreciate you guys jumping on, Matt. Thank you. I'm going to go spark up the TikTok in a minute, since it's 11:25 here in a minute, and see if we can scare up anybody over there. And then normally I think I'll do this on, I'm thinking about doing this on a Friday, calling it the Friday Night Freight Car, and unpacking the freight for the fucking, for the week when it comes to Christian nationalism and other kinds of boobery. So bear with me while I set up the other, I think that's the nice thing about this, right? You could do both. I just couldn't pay attention to both. But check me out on TikTok in a couple of minutes if you want. I'm gonna go ahead and bust on here and see if it works. Call it Bad Friday. There you go. That's not bad. That's not bad. I try to give it the train theme, so I'm like, Friday Night Freight Car. But again, I'm an alliteration guy. But I like that Bad Friday. I might go with that, my friend. I might go with that. Send me your bill for your for your efforts in creating a logo or in a catchphrase, a live. Ban is over. I think, anyway. None. I'm not doing any of that. Not doing any of that. All right, there we go. Going live on the talk, everybody. Welcome to TikTok Live. Have fun interacting in real time with your viewers in real time. Remember to create a safe viewing experience by following our community double standards. All right, you guys, I am going to let YouTube go. Thank you for joining, you fools, and I will see you again soon. And I'll try to get a regular schedule going. I appreciate y'all for hanging in. Thanks, dude.